All right, it's the second hour of the Elias Makos Show. Could the rain go away? It just seems relentless over the last little while here in the city. Last night I was playing softball. We started the game, gray skies. As soon as we start playing, about 2 minutes later, the rain starts. It continues throughout the entire game. I'm pitching on the mound. The ball is soaked, and it was just started to pour. We played the game entirely in the rain. Now, that was Tuesday night for me. Monday, the best of plans spoiled by the rain. And I mentioned to you that I was the special guest of honor at B'nai Brith Canada's Chip Away at Hate golf tournament. So Monday, as soon as the show is over, I jump in my car, I drive to Beaconsfield in pouring rain. It was pouring the entire way to the golf course, get to the golf course, and there was no golf played that day. We still tried to make it as special day as possible. But so I would just like the rain to stop. It is ruining too many things. I'll end my point on the rain. But I did want to just bring up again the B'nai Brith Canada and their Chip Away at Hate golf tournament, right? B'nai Brith Canada has been, I think it's the oldest grassroots organization in this country that has been fighting against anti-Semitism, racism, hatred. So doing that tournament was special for me, right? Because I've been here on the air for many years. It's been 10 months since October 7th, and I have been trying to chip away at hate in this country. And it comes, that's Monday, and we wake up Wednesday morning to these threats across the country. And Montreal police have confirmed that at least one synagogue here in Montreal was on the list of more than 100 Canada-wide that received an email threat. Synagogue in Hampstead has been checked by police officers. Apparently nothing was amiss. So let's find out a little bit more. Henry Topas, Hank Topas is on the line, Quebec Regional Director at B'nai Brith Canada. Hank, thank you so much for coming on with us this morning.
It's great to be here with you, Elias. I hope the connection is good.
Yeah, good connection.
Given all the rain. And I want to tell your listeners that nobody does it better than Elias when you have a guest host who decides that he is the best person, in our opinion, to fill in for actual golf. He kept our golfers very entertained and informed during a great Q&A session that he did with us at Beaconsfield, and we really thank him for that.
Well, it was my pleasure, Hank. And I remember, at the end of the day, we had talked a couple of times, and I said, well, we'll talk again soon. We'll be in touch. And I did not expect it would be less than 2 days later, and we have to talk about a very serious issue. So, what can you tell us this morning, Hank, about the threats? What do you know?
Well, what I do know is B'nai Brith was copied on this, what I think might be even an amateurish letter, but you can never be sure, along with probably 200 or 300 Jewish institutions from coast to coast. Many synagogues in Montreal are on that list. I have the letter. The nature of the letter was basically, as you have covered, was to suggest that there's a bomb in your premises. What is a tip-off is they asked that we publicize the name of the group. That's not going to happen. I'm not going to give them what they want. But I can tell you one thing, and as you alluded to, there is an atmosphere of hate across this country that has been tolerated by politicians, and it really, I think, ground zero now has become Montreal with the inaction or perhaps action of our Mayor Valérie Plante, who has allowed this to continue, demonstrations in the street, unrest on campuses, all kinds of vandalism, all kinds of graffiti all over the place. This is no longer a safe city for not Jews, for anybody. This is just not a safe city. I know people who wanted to send their kids to McGill, and they're not going to do that because they realize it's not the money issue even. It's people who live here. They just don't want to send their kids to McGill because of the atmosphere on campus. And it's not safe for Canadians. Elias, when I get calls from Israel asking me, are we safe in Montreal? Maybe we should come and live in Israel. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Imagine that. The Canadians have to consider perhaps moving elsewhere because the politicians have allowed this to go on. It's just incredible.
And on that subject, Hank, on allowing it to go on, and I said this morning, we spoke about this briefly on the Big Five. I said this morning, it has been 10 months of threats on basically a weekly basis, right? Whether it's in the streets at protests or email threats like this or other things, whether it's gunshots and that kind of stuff. And I said it was exhausting for me. I'm not the target of it. Are you exhausted? Is the community exhausted at this point after 10 months?
It gets kind of ridiculous that we have to, as a community, invest big money in security. We have to have security guards all over the place. We have to reassure our children that it is safe to continue to go on. But you do look all over your shoulder. You don't know when the next demonstration is coming because any demonstration is tolerated. Now, my hat goes off to Fadi Daguerre and his police. They have done the best job they can while the mayor handcuffs them. They are a great police force. I have nothing but respect for them. But if the mayor lets these people who want to foment hate and trouble and violence in our streets, if she lets it go on, he cannot overrule her.
What do you think is happening when if it's the mayor? What do you think is happening? Is it internally inside Projet Montreal? What is happening where the mayor is? Why is there no inaction? Why is there no action from the mayor?
I would not want to venture a guess as to why there is no action. I think you may want to read through the lines of Premier Legault stopping immigration at this point.
Really?
And that was in this morning's newspaper. If you've seen it, they have asked that immigration be put on hold.
Well, it's the temporary foreign worker program, right? That's but are you talking? You're talking about
what you wish.
But you're also talking about just the number of temporary residents, right? That we're seeing on top of that.
Well, on October 7th, it was not only Hamas; it was the residents of Gaza together with Hamas that went into the peaceful communities on the other side of the border, raped, burned, killed, butchered Jews in Israel. I don't know why there is a rush by the government of Canada to say, okay, let's take in some of these poor Gazans.
So can I ask?
They were applauding the violence.
On that front, though, do you believe, because there are a lot of talk is about integration, right? And that when you bring people in and you tell them about what Quebec values are, Canadian values are, and those things, as long as you can integrate properly, well, then that's okay. But I just want to know, your stance on that front, because it sort of seems like any immigration is a problem from what you just told me.
We welcome any immigrant to come to Canada if they wish to integrate to our values, if they wish to participate in our values in a peaceful fashion, if they understand that Canada has been established as a country of peace and acceptability of all people, of all background, of all races, of all creeds, etc. But this is not happening here. People are coming in here and they're saying, okay, we got out of a hellhole with horrendous conditions, and we're going to bring it to you. And that is not acceptable.
That to me, Hank, seems pointed at the federal government and the leadership of Justin Trudeau and how the Liberal Party has handled that dossier. Is that where you're pointing the finger this morning?
I'm not going to point a finger at any party. That is not something B'nai Brith does. We understand that there is a lawfully elected government, both at the federal level, there's one at the provincial level, and there's even one at the municipal level, and they must enforce the law. The law is there for them to enforce. We are blown away that, I believe it's the Bloc Québécois has to point out to the federal government, has to point out, they're not even the opposition, they have to point out that the carve-out in the hate speech law has to be closed. Because all we hear on the various platforms of these demonstrations and in other places, we hear people making proclamations about the importance of the murder of Jews and other infidels. And they're saying, oh, I'm sorry, you can't touch me. That's hate. That's protected. That's prayer. I don't think it's prayer. I'd like to find it somewhere enshrined in a previously written prayer book.
Hank, got to leave it there. Thanks for joining us this morning.
You be well. Thank you very much for everything you do and for your very strong voice to Montrealers.
Henry, as I mentioned at the B'nai Brith Chip Away at Hate tournament, I'm a Canadian that believes in the Canadian values and what we've built here in this country. Got to protect what we have built. Thanks so much, Hank. That's Henry Topas, Quebec Regional Director at B'nai Brith, Canada.